The night sky over New York City was unusually clear, the stars twinkling like tiny diamonds scattered across a velvet canvas. People were out on their balconies and rooftops, some with telescopes, others just gazing upward, trying to make sense of the strange lights that had appeared hours earlier. News channels buzzed with speculation. Were they satellites? A meteor shower? Something else entirely? No one knew for sure, until the voice came. A holographic figure materialized in the middle of Times Square without warning. It was tall, at least 8 feet, with smooth metallic skin that shimmered faintly under the city lights. Its eyes glowed an eerie blue, scanning the crowd as if memorizing every face. The being spoke in perfect English, its tone calm but commanding. "We are the Valens," it said, its voice resonating like thunder. "We have come to claim this planet." Alex Carter sat glued to his couch in Houston, Texas, staring at the live broadcast on his laptop. He wasn't sure whether to laugh or panic. Aliens? Really? This had to be some elaborate prank, or maybe a new marketing stunt for a movie. But deep down, he felt a chill creep up his spine. The Valon didn't look like actors in costumes. They looked real. Too real. Mia Dawson watched the same broadcast from her tiny apartment in Chicago. As a journalist, she had covered everything from political scandals to natural disasters, but nothing could have prepared her for this. Her heart raced as she scribbled notes furiously, jotting down key phrases from the alien speech. She rewound the clip, listening again to the part where the Valon leader demanded humanity's surrender. 3 days, it had said. 3 days to hand over Earth's resources or face annihilation. What do we even do with that? Mia muttered to herself, shaking her head. She opened her phone and started typing a tweet. Aliens just declared war. Humanity has 72 hours to decide its fate. Stay tuned. She hesitated before hitting send, wondering if anyone would believe her. But within seconds, notifications began flooding in. People were scared, confused, desperate for answers. Meanwhile, Alex paced around his living room, unable to sit still. He worked at NASA, designing propulsion systems for spacecraft, but suddenly all those years of training felt useless. What good was rocket science against an advanced alien race? Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that he needed to do something. Anything. Grabbing his laptop, he pulled up schematics of experimental weapons and defense systems. Maybe there was a way to fight back. It was a long shot, but so was survival at this point. By morning, the world was in chaos. Governments held emergency meetings, military bases went on high alert, and ordinary people stockpiled food and supplies. Some prayed, others protested, and a few tried to flee cities altogether. In Times Square, a hologram remained, broadcasting the same message over and over. "You cannot win," the Valon leader repeated. "Surrender now." But not everyone was ready to give up. In a dimly lit basement in Los Angeles, Ethan Brooks, a former Marine turned survivalist, gathered a small group of volunteers. "We're not rolling over for these bastards," he growled, slamming his fist on a table. His words echoed through the room, sparking nods of agreement. One by one, strangers introduced themselves, sharing skills ranging from combat training to cybersecurity expertise. By the end of the meeting, they had a plan and a name for their resistance: Project Phoenix. As night fell again, Alex received a call from an unknown number. On the other end was Mia, who had tracked him down after seeing his name mentioned in a leaked NASA document about classified defense projects. "I think you're onto something," she said quickly. "Can I meet you?" Alex hesitated, then agreed. Little did he know, that decision would set both of them on a path toward the fight of their lives. The next morning, Alex met Mia at a small diner on the outskirts of Houston. The place was nearly empty, save for a few truckers sipping coffee at the counter. Alex slid into a booth, his laptop bag clutched tightly in one hand. He wasn't sure what to expect from this meeting, but Mia's voice on the phone had sounded urgent and determined. Mia arrived 10 minutes later, her dark hair tied back in a loose ponytail and a notebook tucked under her arm. She introduced herself with a quick smile before sliding into the seat across from him. "Thanks for coming," she said, her tone serious. "I've been digging into everything I can find about these Valens, and your name keeps popping up." Alex frowned. "My name? How?" Mia opened her notebook and flipped through a few pages. "Someone leaked internal NASA documents online last night. They mentioned experimental defense projects you've been working on. Projects that might actually help us fight back." Alex leaned back in his seat, his mind racing. He had spent years developing advanced propulsion systems, but recently his team had started exploring weaponized tech, stuff that could disable enemy electronics or disrupt energy fields. It was all theoretical, though. Nothing had been tested yet. "Even if those designs are real," he said slowly, "they're not ready. Not for something like this." Mia nodded. "I get that, but we don't have time to wait. People are already organizing underground groups. If we can give them tools, or even ideas, it could make a difference." Before Alex could respond, a man approached their table. He was tall and broad-shouldered, with sharp features and a military-style buzz cut. His presence was intimidating, but there was also a sense of purpose in the way he carried himself. "You must be Alex," he said, extending a hand. "Ethan Brooks. Mia told me about you." Alex shook his hand hesitantly. "And you are?" "Former Marine, now leading a resistance group called Project Phoenix." Ethan pulled out a chair and sat down without waiting for an invitation. "We're gathering people who can contribute, skills, knowledge, anything useful. You two seem like you've got plenty to offer." Alex glanced at Mia, who gave him an encouraging nod. "What exactly does this Project Phoenix do?" he asked cautiously. Ethan leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table. "We hit the Valens where it hurts, sabotage their equipment, disrupt their operations, gather intel. So far, we've only done minor stuff, cutting power lines, stealing supplies. But we need someone who can think bigger, someone like you." For a moment, Alex didn't say anything. The idea of joining a rebel group felt overwhelming, even reckless. But then he thought about the hologram in Times Square, the cold certainty in the Valon leader's voice. Surrender now. Those words echoed in his mind. What choice did they really have? "I'll help," he finally said, "but I'll need resources and people I can trust." "That's why I'm here," Mia chimed in. "I can document everything, spread the word. If more people know we're fighting back, they'll join us." Ethan smiled faintly. "Good. Then let's get started." Over the next few days, Alex threw himself into the project. He worked late into the night, tweaking designs and running simulations. With Maya's help, he reached out to other scientists and engineers, recruiting anyone willing to contribute. Meanwhile, Ethan focused on training volunteers, teaching them basic combat skills and how to operate makeshift weapons. Their first mission came sooner than expected. A Valon supply depot had been spotted just outside Dallas, a warehouse filled with alien technology and resources. If they could destroy it, they'd deal the invaders their first real blow. The plan was risky, but Alex believed it could work. Using modified drones equipped with EMP devices, they could disable the depot's defenses long enough to plant explosives. On the night of the raid, tension hung thick in the air. Alex stayed behind to monitor the operation remotely, while Ethan led the team on site. Mia tagged along, filming everything with her camera. As the group approached the depot, the explosion lit up the night sky like a second sun, its fiery glow reflecting off the faces of those who had dared to fight back. Ethan and his team stood at a safe distance, watching as the Valon supply depot crumbled into ruin. The mission had been a success, humanity's first real victory against the invaders. But no one cheered. Instead, there was silence, broken only by the crackle of distant flames. Mia lowered her camera, her hands trembling slightly. She hadn't expected it to work. None of them had. Yet here they were, standing in the aftermath of their own defiance. "We did it," she whispered, almost to herself. Ethan glanced at her, his expression unreadable. "Yeah," he said gruffly, "but this is just the beginning." Back at their makeshift headquarters, a converted warehouse on the outskirts of Dallas, Alex replayed the footage Mia had captured during the raid. He sat hunched over his laptop, his eyes scanning every detail. The destruction of the depot wasn't just a symbolic win. It proved that the Valons weren't invincible. Their technology could be countered, their defenses breached. For the first time since the aliens' arrival, Alex felt a flicker of hope. Word of the attack spread quickly. Social media erupted with videos and photos of the blazing depot, shared by witnesses too stunned to look away. News outlets scrambled to report on what was being called the Dallas Strike. Some claimed it was an act of terrorism. Others hailed it as humanity's first stand against the invaders. Mia uploaded her footage online, adding a short message. "This is what happens when you underestimate us. We're not giving up." The response was overwhelming. Messages poured in from around the world, some offering support, others asking how to join the resistance. People wanted to fight back, to take back their planet. Project Phoenix became a beacon of hope, a rallying cry for anyone unwilling to surrender. But the celebration was short-lived. The Valons struck back with brutal efficiency. 2 days after the raid, cities across the globe received a chilling warning. Comply or face annihilation. When a small coastal town in Australia refused to hand over its resources, the aliens made an example of it. A massive energy beam descended from the sky, obliterating everything in its path. Within seconds, the town was gone, reduced to ash and rubble. The images of the devastation shocked the world. Millions mourned the loss of innocent lives, while others grew more determined to resist. For Alex, Ethan, and Mia, the attack served as both a wake-up call and a catalyst. They couldn't afford to hesitate anymore. Every moment of delay gave the Valons more time to strengthen their grip on Earth. Ethan gathered the team to discuss their next move. "They're testing us," he said, pacing the room. "Showing us what they can do if we don't play by their rules. But we can't back down now. We hit them once. We can do it again." Alex nodded, though his mind was racing. "If we want to keep hitting them, we need better weapons, stronger tactics. That EMP trick won't work forever. They'll adapt. And we'll adapt faster," Mia interjected. Her voice was steady, despite the fear lurking behind her words. "Every time they think they've got us figured out, we surprise them. That's our advantage." The group spent hours brainstorming ideas, refining strategies, and recruiting new members. Among the newcomers was a young engineer named Ryan, who had worked on satellite systems before the invasion. His expertise proved invaluable as Alex began designing a new weapon, an electromagnetic pulse generator powerful enough to disable entire fleets of Valon ships. As the days passed, tensions ran high. Supplies were running low, and exhaustion weighed heavily on everyone. But amidst the chaos, something remarkable happened. Unity. Strangers became allies, bound together by a shared purpose. Farmers donated food to feed the fighters. Mechanics repaired vehicles and built makeshift armor. Teachers taught children survival skills, ensuring the next generation would be ready. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Mia climbed onto the roof of the warehouse to get some fresh air. She stared at the stars, wondering if any of them belonged to the Valons' homeworld. Were they watching? Did they realize yet that humanity wouldn't go quietly into the night? Below her, Alex and Ethan reviewed plans for their next mission. It was riskier than the last, targeting a larger and more heavily guarded facility. Failure meant certain death. Success might buy them enough time to turn the tide. "We underestimated them," Alex murmured, glancing at the map spread out before him. "But maybe they underestimated us too." The days following the destruction of the Australian town were filled with tension and urgency. The Valons' message was clear: resistance would not be tolerated. Yet, instead of breaking humanity's spirit, the attack only fueled their determination. People from all walks of life joined Project Phoenix, bringing with them skills, resources, and a fierce will to survive. Farmers, teachers, doctors, engineers all came together under one banner. It wasn't just about fighting anymore. It was about rebuilding hope. Alex worked tirelessly, refining the design for the electromagnetic pulse generator. He called it Aurora, after the natural light displays that once lit up Earth's polar skies. Aurora was meant to disable Valon ships and weapons by targeting the energy frequencies they relied on. But building it required materials no one had access to, rare metals and components that could only be found in Valon facilities. That meant more raids, more risks. Ethan took charge of planning the next mission, his military training guiding every decision. The target was a Valon outpost near Chicago, heavily guarded but stocked with the supplies Alex needed. "We go in fast, grab what we need, and get out," Ethan explained during a strategy meeting. "No heroics. If things go south, we fall back." Mia sat quietly in the corner, jotting down notes. She wasn't a fighter, but her role was just as vital. Her reports and videos kept morale high, showing the world that humanity was still standing. This time, she planned to go along on the raid, not to fight, but to document everything. Someone had to tell the story of what was happening, even if it cost her life. As the team prepared, cracks began to show within the group. Some argued over tactics, while others questioned whether Aurora was worth the risk. Ryan, the young engineer, clashed with Alex over technical details, insisting there was a faster way to build the weapon. Tempers flared, and voices rose until Ethan slammed his fist on the table. "Enough," he barked. "We don't have time for this. Either we work together, or we lose everything." His words silenced the room. Slowly, the arguing stopped, replaced by nods of agreement. They couldn't afford division. Not now. The night of the raid arrived, cold and moonless. The team moved silently through abandoned streets, sticking to shadows to avoid detection. When they reached the outskirts of the outpost, Ethan signaled for everyone to hold position. 2 guards patrolled the perimeter, their glowing blue eyes scanning the darkness. Ethan motioned to a pair of snipers in his group, who took aim and fired tranquilizer darts. The guards collapsed without a sound. Inside the compound, the team split into smaller groups. Alex and Ryan headed straight for the storage area, where crates of alien tech were stacked neatly against the walls. "This is it," Alex whispered, examining a panel on one of the crates. With Ryan's help, he pried it open, revealing rows of shimmering metal components. "We've got what we need." But as they worked, alarms blared suddenly, piercing the silence. Red lights flashed overhead, bathing the room in an ominous glow. "We've been spotted," someone shouted. Chaos erupted. Ethan led a counterattack, holding off waves of Valon drones while Maya filmed the scene, her hands shaking but steady. Bullets ricocheted off metallic walls as the humans fought desperately to protect their escape route. One by one, the team regrouped outside, carrying the precious cargo they had risked everything for. Back at the warehouse, exhausted but alive, they celebrated quietly. Aurora was closer to becoming a reality. But as Alex looked around at the weary faces of his comrades, he couldn't shake the feeling that the hardest battles were yet to come. Mia uploaded her footage later that night, adding a simple caption. "They thought we'd break. Instead, we grew stronger." Across the globe, millions watched, inspired by the courage of those who refused to give up. Humanity was fractured, but slowly it was coming together. And somewhere deep inside, Alex allowed himself to believe that maybe, just maybe, they stood a chance. The days after the raid on the Chicago outpost were a whirlwind of activity. Alex and Ryan worked around the clock, piecing together the components they had stolen to build Aurora. The electromagnetic pulse generator was their best hope against the Valons, but it was also their biggest gamble. If it failed, humanity would be left defenseless. If it succeeded, it could turn the tide of the war. Ethan kept watch over the team, ensuring everyone stayed focused. Tensions were high, and exhaustion was taking its toll. People snapped at each other over small things: a misplaced tool, a miscalculation in the plans. Mia did her best to keep spirits up, sharing stories of resistance groups around the world who were drawing inspiration from Project Phoenix. Her updates reminded everyone that they weren't alone in this fight. One evening, as Alex pored over intercepted Valon communications, he noticed something strange. The aliens' messages were filled with patterns, repeating sequences of numbers and symbols. At first he thought it was just code, but then he realized it wasn't random. These patterns corresponded to specific frequencies used in their energy shields. They're broadcasting their weaknesses. Alex muttered to himself, his heart racing. He called Ryan over to look at the data. What if we can use these frequencies against them? If we tune Aurora to match these patterns, we might be able to disable their shields completely. Ryan's eyes widened. That could work, but we'd need more power than we have now. A lot more. Alex nodded. Then we'll find a way. We don't have a choice. Meanwhile, Ethan received troubling news. Reports indicated that the Valons were fortifying their central command ship, an enormous vessel orbiting Earth. It was heavily guarded and nearly impenetrable, but it was also the source of their control over the invasion. If humanity could strike there, they might cripple the entire operation. The problem was getting close enough to do any damage. Mia volunteered for the most dangerous part of the plan, infiltrating a nearby Valon facility to gather intel. She knew it was risky, but she also knew someone had to do it. I'm not a fighter, she told Ethan when he tried to talk her out of it. But I can get inside without raising suspicion. Let me help. Reluctantly, Ethan agreed. He assembled a small team to back her up, including himself. Before leaving, he pulled Mia aside. If anything goes wrong, you run. No heroics, understand? She nodded, though her stomach churned with nerves. The mission began at dawn. Disguised in scavenged alien gear, Mia approached the facility, her camera hidden beneath her jacket. The Valons didn't notice her at first, too busy overseeing human prisoners forced to work in the mines below. As she moved deeper into the complex, she recorded everything: the layout, the guard rotations, the weak points in their defenses. But halfway through, disaster struck. One of the guards spotted her camera lens glinting in the light. An alarm sounded, and chaos erupted. Ethan and his team sprang into action, creating a diversion to draw attention away from Mia. Gunfire echoed through the halls as humans clashed with Valon drones. Maya ran, clutching the memory card containing the footage. She couldn't let it fall into enemy hands. Back at the warehouse, she collapsed into a chair, trembling but triumphant. "We've got what we need," she said, handing the card to Alex. He uploaded the data and began analyzing it immediately. With this new information, they could refine Aurora even further. As the team gathered to review the intel, Alex looked around at the faces of his comrades. They were tired, battered, and scared, but they were still standing. "This isn't just about building a weapon," he said quietly. "It's about proving that we're smarter, stronger, and more united than they ever thought possible." No one spoke, but the determination in their eyes said it all. Humanity had been underestimated once. It wouldn't happen again. The mission to infiltrate the Valon facility had given Project Phoenix a critical advantage, but it came at a cost. Ethan's team barely escaped with their lives, and 2 members didn't make it out alive. Their names were carved into a makeshift memorial in the corner of the warehouse, a reminder of the sacrifices being made. Every time Alex walked past it, he felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. They couldn't afford to lose anyone else. With Mia's intel, Alex and Ryan worked tirelessly to refine Aurora. The new data revealed vulnerabilities in the Valon's energy shields that could be exploited if they adjusted the generator's frequency output. But there was one major problem: testing it. Without access to alien technology outside controlled environments, they couldn't guarantee Aurora would work as intended. "We'll have to use it in the field," Alex said grimly during a team meeting. "If it fails, we're done." Ethan nodded, his jaw tight. "Then we make sure it doesn't fail." The plan was clear. Strike another heavily guarded Vaylon outpost, this time using Aurora to disable their defenses before retreating. It was risky, but necessary. If successful, it would prove the weapon's effectiveness and buy them time to prepare for the ultimate goal, targeting the central command ship orbiting Earth. Mia insisted on going along again, despite Ethan's protests. "I'm not sitting this one out," she said firmly. "You need someone to document what happens. People need to see that we're fighting back." Reluctantly, Ethan agreed, assigning her to stay behind the front lines. He couldn't risk losing her, not after everything she'd done for the team. The night of the raid, the air was thick with tension. The team moved silently through the darkness, avoiding patrols as they approached the target. When they reached the perimeter, Alex activated Aurora for the first time. A low hum filled the air as the machine powered up, sending waves of electromagnetic energy pulsing outward. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the Vaylon's glowing blue shields flickered and died. "It's working," Ryan whispered, his voice trembling with excitement. But their victory was short-lived. Alarms blared, and reinforcements arrived faster than expected. Ethan shouted orders, directing his team to fall back while covering their retreat. Bullets flew, drones swarmed, and chaos erupted. In the confusion, Maya found herself cut off from the group, her camera knocked from her hands. She ducked behind a pile of crates, her heart pounding. Footsteps echoed nearby as a Vaylon patrol closed in. Just as she thought she was caught, a shadowy figure appeared, Ethan. He grabbed her arm and pulled her to safety, shielding her with his body as they ran toward the extraction point. By the time they regrouped outside the compound, the team was battered but alive. Aurora had done its job, disabling the outpost's defenses long enough for them to escape. But the cost weighed heavily on everyone. 2 more members were injured, and several pieces of vital equipment were lost in the retreat. Back at the warehouse, Alex examined the damage to Aurora. Miraculously, the core components were intact, but repairs would take days. As he worked, Mia uploaded footage of the raid, adding a message to her post. "Even when they outnumber us, even when the odds are against us, we keep fighting. Because giving up isn't an option." Across the globe, millions watched the video, inspired by the bravery of those who refused to surrender. Resistance groups sprang up in cities and towns, united under the banner of Project Phoenix. Humanity was fractured, but slowly it was coming together. That night, as the team sat in silence, Ethan spoke up. "They underestimated us once. They won't do it again." His words hung in the air, a promise to both the living and the dead. Alex nodded, staring at the glowing screen of his laptop. Aurora had proven its potential, but the hardest battles were still ahead. And deep down, he knew that survival wouldn't come without sacrifice. The success of Aurora during the raid gave Project Phoenix a much-needed boost, but it also drew the attention of the Vaylons. The aliens weren't stupid. They knew their shields had been compromised. Within days, reports came in that the invaders were upgrading their defenses, reinforcing their outposts, and stepping up patrols. Humanity's window of opportunity was closing fast. Alex worked feverishly to improve Aurora, knowing they wouldn't get another chance if the Vaylons fully adapted. He modified the generator to emit multiple frequencies at once, hoping to overwhelm any new shielding technology. But every adjustment required more power, pushing the machine to its limits. "If we push it too far," Ryan warned, "it could blow up in our faces." "We don't have a choice," Alex replied, his voice firm. "We either risk it or lose everything." Meanwhile, Ethan planned their next move, a large-scale assault on a key Vaylon stronghold near Denver. It was one of the largest alien bases on Earth, housing not only troops but also advanced weapons systems. Taking it out would deal a massive blow to the invaders and send a message to humanity that resistance wasn't futile. Mia documented every step of the preparation, her camera capturing the determination etched into everyone's faces. She interviewed volunteers, recording their stories of loss and hope. One woman, a former schoolteacher named Lisa, told her, "I fight for my students, for the future they deserve." Mia's voice cracked as she thanked her, realizing how much these people were willing to sacrifice. On the eve of the attack, the team gathered for a final briefing. Ethan stood at the front, his expression grim but resolute. "This is it," he said. "No turning back. We hit hard, we hit fast, and we don't stop until the job is done. Stick to your roles, watch each other's backs, and remember why we're here." As dawn broke over the horizon, the group moved into position. Dozens of fighters joined them, ordinary people armed with makeshift weapons, united by a shared purpose. When the signal was given, Alex activated Aurora, its hum vibrating through the air like a heartbeat. This time, the effect was immediate. The Valen's shields collapsed across the entire base, leaving them exposed. Ethan led the charge, his team storming the compound with precision and ferocity. Gunfire erupted, drones buzzed overhead, and explosions lit up the sky. Amid the chaos, Maya stayed close to the action, filming every moment. Her hands shook, but she refused to look away. These images would show the world that humanity wasn't backing down. Inside the base, Alex and Ryan set up Aurora near the central power core. If they could overload it, the entire facility would go dark. But as they worked, alarms blared, and Valon reinforcements poured in. "Go," Alex shouted, shoving Ryan toward the exit. "I'll finish this." "No way," Ryan shot back, planting himself beside Alex. "We started this together. We finish it together." With seconds to spare, they completed the setup and triggered Aurora. A surge of energy rippled outward, frying circuits and disabling equipment. The lights went out, plunging the base into darkness. Cheers erupted from outside as the remaining Valons scrambled to retreat. But the victory came at a cost. As Alex and Ryan ran for the exit, part of the collapsing structure blocked their path. Trapped, they exchanged a glance, knowing there might not be enough time to escape. Suddenly, Ethan appeared, dragging them clear just as debris crashed down behind them. Back at the warehouse, the team celebrated cautiously. They had struck a major blow against the Valens, but no one believed it would end there. The aliens would retaliate, stronger and angrier than before. As Mia uploaded footage of the battle, she added a simple caption: "They thought they could break us. Instead, we grew stronger." Across the globe, millions watched, inspired by the courage of those who refused to give up. Humanity was battered, bruised, but unbroken. And for the first time in weeks, Alex allowed himself to believe that maybe, just maybe, they stood a real chance. The victory at the Denver stronghold felt hollow as days turned into weeks. The Valens didn't retaliate immediately, and that silence was unnerving. It was as if they were biding their time, planning something far worse. Project Phoenix tried to stay vigilant, but exhaustion was taking its toll. Supplies were running low, injuries were mounting, and morale was beginning to waver. Alex spent most of his time repairing Aurora, which had been damaged during the last mission. The machine was their best weapon, but it was also fragile. A single misstep could render it useless. Ryan worked alongside him, though tensions between them grew as fatigue set in. "We're pushing it too hard," Ryan muttered one evening, rubbing his temples. "If we don't slow down, we'll burn out before the Valens even attack." "We can't afford to slow down," Alex shot back. "Every second we waste gives them more time to prepare." Mia noticed the strain on everyone's faces. She tried to keep spirits high by sharing stories of resistance groups around the world, but even she struggled to stay hopeful. Late one night, as she edited footage from the Denver raid, she overheard a heated argument in the next room. Someone was accusing another member of hoarding food rations. The accusation was false, but it highlighted how close to breaking point they all were. Then came the betrayal. A mole within Project Phoenix leaked critical information to the Valens. Details about their hideout, their plans, and Aurora itself. One morning, as the team gathered for breakfast, alarms blared unexpectedly. Ethan burst into the room, shouting orders. "They're here. Move, move, move." Valen drones descended from the sky, firing indiscriminately. Chaos erupted as people scrambled to evacuate. Alex grabbed Aurora, while Mia clutched her camera and notebooks. Ethan led a desperate defense, holding off the attackers long enough for others to escape. But not everyone made it out. Some were captured. Others weren't so lucky. In the aftermath, the group regrouped at a secondary location, an abandoned factory on the outskirts of town. Everyone was shaken, angry, and scared. "How did they find us?" Ethan demanded, pacing back and forth. "Someone sold us out." Suspicion spread like wildfire. Accusations flew, trust crumbled, and the unity they had fought so hard to build began to fracture. Alex and Ryan argued over whether to rebuild Aurora or abandon it altogether. Maya stayed quiet, watching as the team unraveled before her eyes. Determined to uncover the truth, Mia went through her notes and recordings, searching for clues. She replayed interviews with every member of the group, listening carefully for inconsistencies. Finally, she found it. A brief conversation with Dr. Harper, a scientist who had joined them weeks earlier. His words were calm, almost rehearsed, as he praised the Valens technology. At the time, Mia hadn't thought much of it. Now, it seemed glaringly obvious. She confronted Harper later that night, cornering him in the dimly lit factory. "Why?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Why would you betray us?" Harper hesitated, then sighed. "Because I saw no other way. They're stronger than us, smarter than us. Fighting them is pointless. I thought maybe we could negotiate peace." Mia stared at him, disbelief turning to anger. "There's no peace with them. Not unless we're dead." Before Harper could respond, Ethan arrived, having followed Mia. Without hesitation, he arrested Harper, locking him in a makeshift cell. The damage was done, but at least the traitor was exposed. That night, as the team sat in silence, Ethan spoke up. "We've been hit hard, but we're still standing. We can't let fear divide us. If we do, the Valens win." No one argued. Slowly, they began to rebuild, not just their equipment, but their trust in each other. Humanity had been betrayed from within, but it wouldn't break them. Not now. Not ever. The betrayal by Dr. Harper left a scar on Project Phoenix, one that wouldn't heal easily. Trust was fragile now, and every decision felt heavier than before. But the team had no choice but to push forward. The Valens weren't waiting. They were preparing for something big. Reports came in of increased activity around their central command ship, the massive vessel orbiting Earth. It was clear. The aliens were planning their final assault. Alex knew what had to be done. Aurora was their only hope, but it wasn't enough to disable ground forces. It needed to target the command ship itself. If they could take out the source of the Valens' control, they might cripple the entire invasion. "We need someone to get aboard that ship," Alex said during a meeting. His voice was steady, but his hands trembled as he laid out the plan. "Someone who can upload a virus into their systems and shut them down." Ethan frowned. "That's suicide. Even if we get past their defenses, there's no guarantee anyone would make it back alive." "I'll do it," Alex said without hesitation. He looked around the room, meeting everyone's eyes. "I built Aurora. I know how it works better than anyone else. If something goes wrong, I'm the best person to fix it." Mia stood up abruptly. "No way. You're not doing this alone. I'm coming with you." "Absolutely not," Ethan snapped. "You're too valuable. Mia, your reports keep people fighting. If anything happens to you, I'm not staying behind." She interrupted, her voice firm. "If Alex is risking his life, then so am I. We're in this together. After hours of arguing, Ethan finally relented, but only partially. Fine, but you stick to the plan. No heroics. The next few days were spent preparing. Alex modified Aurora to generate a portable EMP device, small enough to carry onto the command ship. Ryan helped design a virus that could infiltrate the Valence systems, while Ethan coordinated with other resistance groups to create diversions. If everything went according to plan, the Valens would be too busy dealing with attacks on the ground to notice Alex and Mia slipping aboard the ship. On the night of the mission, the air was thick with tension. The team gathered outside the factory, watching as Alex and Mia suited up in scavenged alien gear. Ethan pulled Alex aside for a moment. "If things go south," he began, his voice low, "just promise me you'll get Mia out safely." Alex nodded, though he knew deep down that promises were meaningless in situations like this. They climbed into a stolen Valon shuttle, its sleek metallic surface blending seamlessly with the invaders' technology. As they lifted off, Mia glanced back at the shrinking figure of Ethan, standing alone in the darkness. She whispered a silent prayer, hoping they'd see him again. The journey to the command ship was nerve-wracking. Every second felt like an eternity, the hum of the shuttle's engines, the only sound breaking the silence. When they docked, Alex took a deep breath. "Ready?" he asked. Maya forced a smile. "As ready as I'll ever be." Inside the ship, the atmosphere was eerie. Glowing blue corridors stretched endlessly, patrolled by drones and Valon soldiers. Using handheld devices to mimic alien signals, Alex and Mia moved cautiously through the labyrinthine structure. Their goal was the central control room, where they could upload the virus and disable the ship's systems. But halfway there, disaster struck. An alarm blared and red lights flashed overhead. "They know we're here," Alex muttered, gripping the EMP device tightly. "We don't have much time," Maya replied, her voice shaking but determined. "Let's finish this." As they sprinted toward the control room, the weight of their mission pressed down on them. Failure wasn't an option, not when the fate of humanity rested in their hands. The alarm blared louder with each step Alex and Mia took, their footsteps echoing through the cold, metallic corridors of the Valon command ship. Drones swarmed around them, firing beams of energy that narrowly missed as they ducked behind cover. "We're running out of time," Mia shouted over the chaos, clutching her camera tightly despite the danger. "I know," Alex replied, his voice strained but focused. He glanced at the EMP device in his hand, then at the map displayed on his wrist console. The control room was close, just a few more turns, but the path ahead was blocked by a squad of Valon soldiers. There was no way around them. "Distraction," Maya said suddenly, her eyes locking onto a nearby vent shaft. "I'll draw them away. You get to the control room." "No," Alex shot back immediately. "You're not doing this alone." "There's no other way," she insisted, her tone leaving no room for argument. Before Alex could stop her, she darted out from their hiding spot, shouting and waving her arms to grab the alien's attention. The soldiers turned toward her, weapons raised, giving Alex the opening he needed. "Mia!" Alex called after her, panic rising in his chest. But there was no time to hesitate. He sprinted down the corridor, slipping past the distracted guards and reaching the control room. Inside, rows of glowing panels lined the walls, pulsating with alien energy. This was it, the heart of the Valon operation. Alex connected the EMP device to the central console, his hands trembling as he initiated the upload sequence. Lines of code scrolled across the screen, the virus infiltrating the ship's systems bit by bit. Outside, explosions rocked the vessel as resistance fighters launched coordinated attacks to keep the Valons occupied. Alex prayed it would be enough. Meanwhile, Mia ran for her life, dodging blasts and weaving through narrow passages. Her lungs burned and her legs felt like lead, but she refused to give up. She spotted an open doorway and dove inside, slamming the panel shut behind her. It was a maintenance closet, cramped and dark, but it gave her a moment to catch her breath. She clutched her camera, whispering to herself, "Come on, Alex. Finish it." Back in the control room, Alex watched the progress bar inch closer to completion. Suddenly, the door burst open, and a group of Valon soldiers stormed in. Alex froze, his mind racing. He had seconds left before the upload finished, but the aliens were already closing in. Thinking quickly, he grabbed a loose cable from the floor and jammed it into the console, creating a massive electrical surge. Sparks flew and the lights flickered, giving him just enough time to hit the final button. The screen flashed green. Upload complete. The entire ship shuddered violently as the virus spread through its systems. Lights dimmed, machinery powered down, and gravity began to fail. Alex stumbled toward the exit, fighting against the growing instability of the environment. He found Mia waiting anxiously in the hallway, her face lighting up with relief when she saw him. "Did it work?" she asked breathlessly. "It worked," he confirmed, grabbing her hand. "Now let's get out of here." They retraced their steps, navigating the now darkened corridors as alarms continued to wail. When they reached the shuttle bay, Ethan was waiting for them in the stolen craft, engines roaring. "Get in," he yelled, pulling them aboard just as the command ship started to collapse in on itself. As they escaped into space, the massive vessel exploded in a brilliant burst of light, debris scattering across the atmosphere. Below them, Earth stood silent and still, for a moment, unsure if the nightmare was truly over. Back on the ground, survivors emerged from hiding, staring at the skies with tears in their eyes. Humanity had won, at great cost, but they had proven something no one thought possible. Even the smallest acts of courage could change the course of history. In the days that followed, Alex, Mia, and Ethan watched as cities began to rebuild. Monuments were erected to honor the fallen, and stories of bravery inspired future generations. Humanity looked to the stars not with fear, but with hope, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, together.